So hello, I am here in the lovely Barrels Ale House in Berwick-upon-Tweed with the also lovely Ian Petrie. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you?
I'm not too bad. And we're just talking about you are doing this Inspired project, which is... Well, tell us a little bit about
that. Well, in essence, it's a music project that's designed for teenage kids who are interested in music, and they don't necessarily have to be musicians. They can be people that just have a passion for music. And what we do is we put them through a 4-month program of training them in songwriting, arranging, music production. So we end up with a CD at the end of it, and then we end up doing a bunch of live performances in and around Berwick-upon-Tweed. So they get the full thing. They don't just get the music side, they get a bit of music industry kind of information from music lawyers and promoters and that kind of thing. But the main thing is just bringing the group together and creating a really nourishing, loving vibe between the kids. And it kind of started as an arts project, and it's become more of a sort of community project whereby we're trying to build a really healthy, self-sustaining music community in Berwick that starts from the bottom up, with kids. There was a sort of period in Berwick where you were kind of the sort of last bastion of live, young people doing live music.
It used to be great down here, yeah.
Yourselves and people like, Robert Wilkinson and a whole bunch of other bands.
Yeah.
And then for various reasons that kind of tailed off, and it's been fairly stagnant for a few years, and I really want to see that kind of reinvigorated. So for me personally, it's purely selfish because I love making music, and any excuse to make music is good. And it creates a good scene, whereby there's lots of good bands to go out and see. There's quite a few young bands coming along now that are coming out of Berwick Academy specifically. Music scene there is starting to build up. They've now got a music teacher in there. So it's all about creating just a really cool, positive vibe in the town, based around music. So
that's cool. So these young people, do they come to you, or do you find them? How does it work?
We advertise the project. The project runs January till May every year. Well, this is our third one now. We just advertise the project in local schools and the papers and stuff like that, and people come. They ask about the project, get an audition, and then we make a decision, not necessarily based purely on musical talent, but it's more about people's passion and desire to kind of better themselves. And so we take people on who, some of them are already quite good at what they do, some people have never performed before, so it's a nice blend. You get slightly more experienced ones who are kind of able to encourage the ones that haven't done as much music, and it just ends up becoming a massive positive, thriving musical vibe that everybody buys into, and it's just great. I love it.
It's class, because when I was younger, I had a sort of desire for music, and I had all this pent up, I need to go and play music, and I had nothing, I had nowhere to go, but a maths teacher just took us all under kind of like what you're doing, and just would jam with us every Friday. And that kind of stuff's invaluable, because you become not only a musician but someone that can jam as well. It's all good, play a song, but if you can just play that song, then you're kind of goosed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, part of the main part of the course is getting the singers together to make music together and to write their songs. We write individual songs and group songs. They get produced at my studio, so they all end up with an individual song, and we have a group song on the CD, and we do a music video. But the other side of it is getting a band together to back them when we do the shows. So I'm kind of partnering with Berwick Academy and going in and running band rehearsals and things to try and generate the music scene in the school as well, which is great because there's starting to become more of a scene there. It's not just me. The other main protagonist in all this, although he's not part of Inspired, is the music teacher there, Darren Hollywell, who used to be guitarist in bands like Hardly Original and various other bands.
Yeah, I remember them.
He's a fantastic guitarist. He's a bit of a rocker as well,
actually.
He
is. He is.
And he's putting a huge amount of work into getting things going in the school as well. So
What's great
Yeah.
is I've been watching your stuff online, which you can follow on Facebook and Instagram, and you actually show these kids exercises and vocal warm-ups and everything as well, which is fantastic.
Yeah, we have a vocal teacher, Tamsin Davison, who comes in, and a lot of the guys that come in and do group workshops, like Bob Wilkinson, he's done a theatre workshop. He helps them. We help them with their singing. So they go. Some of them go from hardly being able to sing at all, but really wanting to, and maybe not having the confidence to even sing at all, to being on main stage in the Maltings and performing in front of 300 people and just going, wow, this is amazing, you know. It's such a buzz, you know. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and one of your classmates, one of your graduates, is actually playing here tonight. Is that right?
That's right.
How does that make you feel? Is that like a little proud moment for you, kind of thing?
It gets to the point when once I mean, Martha was playing before she joined the course. She was one of the more experienced ones, but especially when you see other guys, like last year we had a guy, Matthew Routledge, who was very, very shy. It was very difficult for him to kind of come out of himself, but now he's going around doing open mics and things by himself, and he was singing at the last show we had. We invited him back. He's gone from very, very timid to absolutely rocking it, and everybody absolutely loves him. And it's you know, to see someone go from absolutely nothing to becoming a super confident and very, very good performers, that really does, you know. And just seeing them blossom in confidence as individuals, seeing them connecting with each other in a group, hearing the feedback from their parents where they're saying, you know, you would not believe the difference this has made to my child. They're so much more confident, they're so much more outgoing, you know. I mean, that's just brilliant, isn't it? You know.
Of course, yeah. So you touched upon, actually, you mentioned it in passing about how this place used to have, like Berwick-upon-Tweed, where we are, used to have a great thriving music scene. And you're actually from up Scotland, is that right, originally?
I'm from Edinburgh, yeah.
Yeah, you're from Edinburgh. And I'm from that way as well. And when I was down here, there was a lot of great bands happening. In fact, this place is covered in the posters from all that. Like, I used to think that this town was like, there must be something in the water because there were so many great musicians. Like what was it? You yourself were in the Gypsy Soul Experience.
Yeah.
Like, what was it like being around with all those great bands? Like,
well, I think I moved here 8 years ago. Before that, I was living in Coldstream, and before that, I'd moved around quite a few towns in the borders. I was in Hawick, I was in Kelso, I was in Selkirk, Galashiels, South Queensferry, Peebles, because I was diverted for a few years and became a property developer.
Nice. Rock and roll.
Yeah, I know. It was all right. But I ended up getting really bored with that and desperately wanted to get back into music.
Yeah.
And so I did. But I've lived in a lot of small towns, you know. Most small towns in the UK in general might have, you know, a rock band, and they might have a couple of indie bands or something like that, and a couple of singer-songwriters, and that's it.
Yeah.
Here, there's a stupidly disproportionate amount of people who are extremely talented in music, or are willing to, or want to do something with it. That's my perception of it, anyway. So yeah, there's a great scene. There's a great scene in sort of my generation, you know, sort of 40s, 50s, 60s. Huge folk scene, not so much for younger people, and I think that imbalance is starting to kind of change. And we try to integrate, you know, young people with the older groups as well, so it's like intergenerational. So it's not just you know, exclusively about just young people. It's about integrating young people into the community and making older people aware of what young people are doing. Young people get such a bad rap for, you know, being, you know, lazy or, you know, trouble and all the rest of it, and I don't see kids like that at all. I just see them as balls of, you know, infinite potential. And it's like when you start getting into the musical side of things, people desperately want to express themselves. They want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to be understood. You've got an education system which, careful, I better not get too political, but I don't agree with the education system at all. I think the way that it's structured suits 5% of kids. The rest of them really struggle through it, and it just does not create a situation where kids are feeling like they're heard, understood, able to express themselves in a real and authentic way. So this is, although we partner with the school because the school wants to have more of that, but they can't do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's kind of like this is outside of the education system. You don't need to understand what a crotchet is to play music. You don't need to understand musical theory to make music. It comes from within. So it's all about nourishing that creativity and unlocking it and saying, look, anyone can write a song, anyone can sing. It's just a case of whether you have the desire or not to do it at the end of the day. So,
all right, well, thanks very much, Ian.
And thanks very much, Paul.
Back to the non-existent studio.
Bye. Bye.